Good evening. This is Joyce at Amazing Grace Wolf's Homestead. It's been a day or two since we got a chance to be with you. We've really had some really cold weather, but it is letting up. We've got sunshine today and warmer temperatures and looking forward to it. Today we're going to be doing several things that I want to share with you, but I'm going to start off with making a blueberry muffin cake. You can make either muffins out of it or you can make cake, and I chose to make a cake out of this. So I'm going to start off with, and what I want to show you is that I'm actually using a mix. This is a whole mix that I make at one time. I make several different types of dry mixes, and then when I get ready or in a pinch, all I have to do is pull my mix out and I'll be able to get my muffins or my brownies or my cookies or whatever it is that I'm doing. I can get them together in a short time of no time. So today we're doing the blueberry muffins, and it calls for, out of the muffin mix, I'm going to place 2 1/4 cups of muffin mix. Just like your flour, I don't tamp it down or anything. I just do it like this and then take the end of my spoon and I'll level it out. So there's one. Two. And it called for 1/4, so that's 2 tablespoons. Okay. The next thing I want to add into this is 2 eggs. I've already got my oven preheated. I preheated my oven to 375. I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of melted softened butter. I do use real butter. Also, I have added an extra because I want it to be a little extra sweet because the cake part. I added 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and I also added 2 tablespoons of oil. This is just to give it an added moisture that I want to give. Now to this we're going to mix 3/4, and you can use milk, but I chose to use heavy cream. And you don't do a lot of mixing and stirring with it. You just you want to get everything moistened real good. And I have probably a good 1.5 cups of blueberries that I had froze back when I got them on sale, and I put them in the freezer so that I would have them. I love blueberries. Now, because this looks a little bit dry, I am going to add just a tad more of the cream. Milk is a little bit thinner, but I love the richness of the cream. Oh yeah, that's done it. Because of the heat, we're having to have the heat on really good because we've had such cold temperatures. And I do want to take time to thank the Lord that we have one line that froze and it unthawed by itself, and I give God the praise for it. So during all this time, we've had three weeks, a little over 3 weeks of extremely cold weather. Single digits and sub-negative wind chills. And I'm very, very thankful. I feel that we're all very, very blessed. Now, I'm going to put this in here like this. And I'm going to spread this out evenly in my bundt pan. I have already sprayed it with some Pam. And we want to get all that goodness in there. Sometimes things can be time consuming, and sometimes it goes by pretty fast. But anytime anything's worth anything, it takes a little time and a little effort. No matter what it is that you're working on. Now I'm cooking this ahead of time, and I may have this. I've got Soul Sisters next weekend, so I may put this up in the freezer for Soul Sisters. There, I think that's got it. So we will put this in the oven, and we're going to bake it until it's pretty brown on top, and then I'll sprinkle it with some brown sugar and make a little white icing to go over the top, just enough to give it a little bit of sweetener. The next thing we're going to be doing, we're going to be making tacos. My son loves Mexican food, so he requested he had tacos today. So we have got the ground beef here. And while I'm getting the ground beef a little bit browner, I'm going to go ahead and chop up an onion. We try to use everything that we can here on the homestead, because that's why I can. That's why I work hard in the garden, and that's why I put things up, is that we have the abundance of the crops that we grow. And I am very thankful for the growing season. We did have a weird one last year, but I am very, very thankful for it. I learned a lot during that time about different types of things that can harm the garden, such as a disease, insects, pests, and about ways how to handle them. And a lot of the ways to learn how to handle them is without the use of pesticides. Now, I have got this onion chopped, and I'm going to put this in my ground beef, and we're going to get this stirred up. We'll turn that up just a few minutes. And we're going to let that cook. And while that is cooking, I'm going to add my ingredients. First off, I'm going to salt. I try to go light on the salt as much as I can. This is fresh ground beef that we had bought the cow and had it butchered. So it is safe. It doesn't have any of the things that the store-bought meat would have in it, which makes it very good. Now, the same way I did with the salt, as you've watched me, I scattered the salt. I'm also going to do the same thing with black pepper. And this jar here is just about out. When it gets just about out, it comes out really easy. So I have to be careful. And that was the black pepper. Now, on the other hand, I am going to add some garlic. And while I'm here, I'm going to add some garlic powder here in this pot, because this pot's fixing to be homemade vegetarian soup. Cumin. And onion powder. I know I put onions in there, but I'm putting just a little bit of onion powder. Okay. The next thing I'm going to add to the sloppy joe, or not sloppy joe, but the taco meat. You give it a good stir here. I'm going to add just a tad of our home ground cayenne pepper. Okay, and then I'm going to add taco seasoning. I put about probably 2 pounds of ground beef in this, so I'm going to make sure I've got plenty of taco seasoning in it. Now, let me stir that up.
I can smell that tacos.
And to that, now, since I put a little bit of cayenne pepper in there, and our cayenne pepper was very, very stout, it was very good, I'm adding homemade mild salsa to this. Give it a good stir. And I'm going to give it a cover and let that simmer. Now on with our soup. I've already added garlic powder and I've already added some onion powder to my pot here. I'm going to go ahead and turn my pot on. And this is going to be a vegetarian vegetable soup. So I'm going to add some pepper. And I'm going to add some salt. And instead of using chicken broth or beef broth or any kind of meat broth like that, I'm actually going to use onion broth. You can actually make vegetable broth. And this here was, when I did my onions, I put up roasted onions and I had a few onions left. And I just went on and made some jars of broth with it so that when I get ready to make something with vegetarian style, that I'll have this broth and the onions already in it to make it savory. So I'm going to add this. And because there are some seasonings down here in the bottom of it, I'm going to rinse that right into that pot. Next thing I'm going to add is homemade soup mix. Now in this soup mix there is potatoes, carrots, onions, tomatoes, corn, peas. I think that's everything that's in this. This was not seasoned, and because it was not seasoned, that's why I go on and season here. Now the other thing that I'm going to use to make this soup is a quart of homemade stewed tomatoes. Now we're going to give this a good stir. One more ingredient that I want to put in here, and that's just a little bit of brown sugar to take out some of the tartness from the tomatoes. Not quite. Probably about maybe a fourth of a spoon. And we'll give that a good stir. And we'll turn this heat up. Now, just for the sake of keeping the seasonings right, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of oil. Cover that and let that simmer. Let me check on my muffin cake. It's not quite there yet, but it'll be there in a few minutes. Now, with everything that I have gotten done, we've got the taco meat. We've got it going. And while it's finishing up, I'm going to make a good stir on it again. As you can see, it's thickening up right where it's supposed to.
Smells better and better every minute.
And we're going to use tortillas. We use the soft shell tortillas. And so we'll be using tortillas to make the taco shells out of this. Sometimes I fry them in a skillet. Sometimes we eat them soft. But whatever brand you have. If you make homemade ones, that's good too. And then whatever brand you have. And we'll make the tortillas. But in the meantime, let me get I have a half an onion over here that needs to be chopped, preserved. And I do this when I have extra onion. And if I don't use all the onion, I just go on and while I'm in the process of it and get it chopped. Not a fine chop, but a coarse chop. And then I will put that in my onion bowl. So that when I get ready to do anything, I'll have that already chopped up. Now, I've already prepared, I have the Mexican cheese. It's a 3-style Mexican cheese that we have here. And I've already got the lettuce prepared. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my tomatoes fixed. There's 3 of us, so it doesn't take a lot at one time. I just cook continuously.
We should point out it's very hard to basically feed every single person in the house when everybody's got different tastes for just about every different thing.
That's true. As my son was stating, we like everything. My husband is more traditional American food. My son, he likes more Mexican and Vietnamese and Chinese, and I like Chinese and Mexican, and I like about anything. There's even some German foods that I really like. There's just and home foods that I like. Mainly if it's not cooked spinach and it's nothing's entrails. No harm to anyone else. If you eat livers and all that stuff, that's fine. I don't eat nothing. I don't eat anything that filters anything or holds anything. So I guess that'll tell you something. But just I don't want nothing that filters anything. But we all have different tastes, and that's very, very true. So a lot of times it's a delicatessen here because I try to fix what everybody likes and what they're wanting at the time as much as I can. Now, sometimes we all have to eat the same thing. Sometimes it's a good old pot of beans with greens and fried apples and cornbread, which suits my fancy any day of the week. Now, I've got these tomatoes coarsely chopped to go on to the taco salad. Whether you wrap it up as a burrito or whether you fry it or however you do it. I've got this ready to go. So what I'll do is, since it's going to be a little bit before we eat, I'll just take my top and put on here and slip it into the refrigerator, and when we get ready to eat our tacos, all the fixings will be ready for it. Oh, let me put these onions up too while I'm doing it. You know, half of preparation is continual cleanup. I wash dishes and try to keep things washed up as much as I can during the whole time that I'm cooking. So I'm washing dishes and cooking all at the same time. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is that I told you the other day that I was going to have a surprise. Well, a lot of times on a farm, you collect stuff, and after a little while, it begins to build up. And I do quite a bit of different types of crafts and things, and so I had quite a bit of material that I needed to use up because I didn't want it to ruin. I didn't really know what I wanted to use it for. So I sat down and I saw I had noticed on Facebook they had some pictures of some stuffed animals, and I thought, well, I can do that, I believe. And I sat down and I draw these patterns out. This one here, and I did use my parchment paper. It makes really good patterns. But I just draw this simple key cat out with its tail, with its muzzle, which is doubled, and with its nose, which is a heart. And as you can see, it made these beautiful kitty cats. Now what I'm going to do with them, I'm not really for sure, but it's a new material that hadn't been used, and I just put it to use them in order to keep it from running or wasting. I also did the little puppy dog. You can see this one here's got a donut hanging on his neck with his little bow tie. This one's got a dog bone. And I did the same thing with the pattern. I mean, I just simply sat down and draw the pattern out and cut the material out and put them together. And my big thing that I've been really working hard at is my little cow. If you see my little cow sitting right here, that little cow has just been, it's been joy to me working on it and getting it done. And so it just turned out really, really good, and I was really, really thankful. And once again, I just sat down and I drew the picture that I saw and used the parchment paper to do that. Now, what will happen to these? I'm not really for sure. I don't know exactly what will take place with them. But they're made, and they're not hurting anything, and they're pretty, and they can be used. I don't know. They may be gifts. They may be decorations. They may be just something, a nice thing to give, to someone. But all in all, I enjoyed making these very, very much. I call them the cat's meow because they have just really turned out really, really, really pretty, and very, very thankful. Now, I also told you that I had ordered some seed because even though it is cold temperatures and dead winter time and everything, I had ordered some of my seeds. The only thing that I've got left now that I need to get a hold of, unless I have to absolutely buy plants, I do want to buy sweet potato plants, and I do want to buy sweet onion plants. I would love to be able to grow sweet onions. So if y'all have suggestions, please feel free to put it down in the box. Also, where you see that like, be sure and hit the like button. And if you have anything to ask or to help me with, if you've got any suggestions to help me, I'm all for it. We always strive to do better and to do what we can to help others. I like to know what the best sweet onion would be to plant. Our area that we plant our garden in is zone 7A. It was 7B, but because of the weather issues, I think they bumped it up a couple of weeks, maybe 3, and now it's zone 7A. And we're located in central Kentucky, and so it's a good place to live. We have a little bit of all the weather, and it's just really right, just right for us that live here in Kentucky. But those seeds I was telling you about, I had ordered, and Mr. Gardner and Michigan Gardner had sent these to me, and along with it he sent me and I don't receive anything from anyone, so I want everybody to I think the word is affiliated. I'm not affiliated with any company or any type.
You're not being sponsored.
I'm not sponsored by anyone. So, but I do want to tell you, I did order these seeds for Michigan Gardner, and I picked up some sugar and sweet peas. I picked up, these are the Paris Island romaine lettuce. I picked up a couple of those. I picked up a couple of the sugar and snap peas. I did get mammoth dill, and I'm very interested in this just so that I can put up some different types of herbs and spices. This here is the butter crunch. This is a very good lettuce. I have grown this twice. It's got such a sweet taste. It's a beautiful color, and it has really done good for me getting it out early in the spring. I picked up another type of cucumber. This is Ashley cucumber. My husband loves 14-day sweet pickles, so we definitely have to make at least 4 batches of 14-day sweet pickles. This here is the red romaine lettuce. I'm interested in trying that. And this was the other sweet pea. And this was the tender green cucumber. Now, let me give a quick stir. Oh yes, this is coming along just fine. Now the soup isn't really made for right now, and it will be eaten later on. And that oven is hot, so let me get my mitten. Give this a start. The soup's doing good too. It's cooking right along. We're going to let that stew down. Look at that scrumptious soup. Makes a beautiful pot of soup. We'll check our muffins. They're not quite there yet, but when they get done, we'll be sure and take a picture of the blueberry muffin cake and let you see it on the thumbnail. And until then, that's all I have for you today, folks. So, and I was going to try to do every Tuesday and Thursday, but I'm just going to try to do. I've come to the conclusion when I try to set a date to do it, everything takes place. So I'm just going to do when I can. And I hope you enjoy, and I hope you come back and visit us here on Wolf's Homestead. Amazing grace. The word today is, trust the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into your own understanding. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. Until we see each other again, bye-bye.